Hey everybody, it's me, Ko, and I did it. I went to the Final Fantasy XIV convention, FanFest.
Let's go!
With my sister, who ended up winning the lottery for FanFest tickets, not me, because I have the worst luck ever when it comes to gachas and, like, lotteries. We went to experience our first ever convention, and it was a hot mess.
Oh no.
Okay, I'll be real, it wasn't like a complete wash of an experience. Like, it was actually really fun, but there's a lot of things I could talk about that definitely did not go so well for the convention. Also, for anybody's going to the EU or JP FanFest, if I have any JP fans at all, this could be a great way for you guys to kind of see what exactly would happen at FanFest, you know, minus the, like, the regional differences, like how we had to experience FanFest in Vegas, which is aka Ifrit's asshole, the hottest place in the world. So as I said earlier, this was like my first ever convention in my life, and going to a place where a group of people came together, like thousands of people, to all experience something and like pretty much share their love of this game was just so endearing. And one of the best aspects about FanFest is the fact that it was just purely dedicated to 14. So to me, this felt like it really justified the cost of going to FanFest, you know, paying for airplane tickets, sharing a hotel room with people, buying all the expensive food that, you know, is out there in Vegas. I felt like to me, it really made sense to go out to FanFest for my first ever convention, rather than go to a really broad convention like Anime Expo. I could be totally wrong on this, but what I've seen from Anime Expo, it's like the most popular animes get celebrated, while like if you watch some small obscure anime, it might not get as much love. So you'd have like a billion like Demon Slayer fans around you, while you're like one of two people who's dressing up as like a JoJo character or something. And I'm just kidding, I know there's a lot more JoJo fans out there like me. There's probably at least like 10 of us at like Anime Expo. So for FanFest, I was able to justify the cost of traveling and all that, compared to like going to Anime Expo for like, I don't know, maybe one or two animes I like, and then, I don't know, be mildly interested in everything else around me. So like, I'd probably go for like one small thing like Arknights or something, and that'd be it. With FanFest, it also came with 3 concerts, so I thought that was really cool. Well, I mean, technically 2 concerts, one extra being an added cost. We'll get into all that later. And I actually never been to a rock concert in my life, so going to see the Primals, I thought, you know what? This would be a great time to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Not only that, but this is also my first time ever going to Vegas, so I thought, why not kill many birds with 1 stone? For legal purposes, no birds were actually harmed during my whole entire time in Vegas or at FanFest. Besides going to FanFest to see Yoshi P and the team, experience everything around you, see friends, we all knew without a doubt there was going to be a new expansion announcement, and it came true with Dawn Trail. I remember right before the countdown started, I was talking to my sister and I was telling her, hey, like, I know they're gonna drop some kind of announcement. I'm gonna record it, but not get too excited. You know, I'm gonna relax. I'm not gonna go too crazy. But when that countdown started, I lost my nuts. It was insane. When that countdown hit like 10 seconds, like, all sense of self-control just left my body. I started screaming when the trailer started. You probably heard me during the, like, a reaction of the crowd. It was just a great feeling to, like, be around everybody who got as excited as I did. Okay, Ko, so it sounded like it was a lot of fun. What made FanFest such a hot mess then? Can you let your boy build up, okay? I'm trying to build up to it. Let me talk about some of the good things before I start talking about all the bad. And before I start talking about all the bad, I want to quickly just say that I still had a great time. I thought it was worth my money spent. I know a lot of people who've been to cons before said that this wasn't the best organized con ever, but to me, as my first ever one, I thought it was serviceable. I thought it was decent. But with that said, let's get into the first thing, which was the heat of Vegas. So as many of you guys know, FanFest took place in Vegas, and if you know your geography, it is located in a desert. So it was stupidly hot and dry. If you're not a native of this area, you pretty much just melt and die, like how I pretty much lost part of myself in Vegas. Not only that, but it was also in the middle of July, you know, the summer, during one of the hottest weeks of Vegas like ever recorded. It was like hundreds every single day. During one of the hottest weeks of Vegas ever recorded, I believe. It was like 100 every single day without a beat. Luckily, unluckily for me, I stayed at the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott, which was like a quick 5-minute walk to the convention center. Also, quick shout out to Crystal, my roommate, who was just a lovely roommate and picked out the hotel. I love you, Crystal. Thank you so much. It was lucky for us because we didn't have to get an Uber, so that cut down on costs a lot. But unlucky for us because, you know, we had to walk in Vegas in the summer heat. So walking for 5 minutes in Vegas actually felt like 1,000 minutes. And maybe this was like dumb of me to think, but I thought maybe while walking, a gust of wind could pick up and blow into our faces, you know, cooling us off. No. If you get hit by wind in this heat, it just, instead of helping you, it just sucks away all your moisture out of your body. Now, I'm very much a cold weather enjoyer. I love, being able to bundle up, wear my jackets, look really cool, long sleeves. But to be smart about the weather in Vegas, I had to pack for hot weather. So that meant I had to wear shorts. I had to wear shorts, and I apologize to anybody who saw my skinny chicken legs and had to deal with that. I never want to do that ever again. I'm sorry. I had friends cosplay during the whole time. I had a friend of mine cosplay as Y'shtola, and she told me she was just dying the entire time she was cosplaying because of how hot it was. So to anybody out there who cosplayed during this whole entire time, how did you do it? Now, luckily for us, all the festivities took place inside, so you never really had to go outside ever. They also had food inside, so you never really have to leave the con at all once you're there. So you can get there early in the morning when it's not so hot, and then stay there until it's night when it's much cooler. But if you're familiar with these kind of things, you would probably think the food at the convention was super expensive. It was. It would be like $8 for like a normal size hot dog. It wasn't anything crazy. They also had like Papa John's, and Papa John's. So it's like either your wallet dies because of the money, or you just die of the heat having to go out and get food. Overall, the heat kind of really dampened the mood just a lot of bit, but as long as you're inside, you would have been fine. And at least you sweat off all the calories, so that helped. So let me talk about security a little bit. Security comprised of mostly like old people, so it wasn't exactly Fort Knox in there. And not only that, security was like very inconsistent. And what I mean by that is like on day one, they were like not checking for people's wristbands at all. So as most of you guys know, if you go to FanFest, you have a wristband that kind of shows you wear this on your arm. Hey, I paid for my ticket. I'm supposed to be here. But during day one, before everything happened, when they're opening up the doors, they didn't check for that at all. Let's just say I had some friends who were gonna part ways with me once I got inside a convention center who didn't get the wristbands, but they were like, hey, what happens if we just walked in? What are they gonna do? Not much. They didn't do much at all. They just walked through all the metal detectors, and they were able to sit down with me and watch the keynote in peace. They didn't stop anybody as far as I know. In fact, I think on day 2 is when they started cracking down on people. I remember my sister was wearing a long sleeve jacket. She's crazy for that. She was wearing her jacket, and they were like, hey, roll up your sleeve so we know you have a wristband. She did that, yeah. But I don't really think they check too often. As long as you're wearing short sleeves, you're fine. And as most of you guys know, there was a bag restriction, so you couldn't bring anything that was super big, bigger than the FanFest registration bag that you got. But some of my friends actually brought in these big bags anyways, and they weren't stopped at all. But then they were stopped later on during the day by certain different kind of security people. It's just a lot of inconsistency. It was just weird. I don't know how security will go for EU and stuff, but I would say just, err on the cautious side and just don't try to break the rules at all. Now for the venue itself, we had the Las Vegas Convention Center North Hall, to which I feel really proud saying that all in one go. We unfortunately only had half the space to use because the other half was being utilized by something else, so it would have been cool seeing the whole entire space being used for FanFest purely because maybe we could have had more things planned out and, things to do. It is what it is. The other unfortunate side is that the other half was being used for some kind of kid basketball tournament thing. To which, I'm happy for the kids, do that, better than doing drugs, play basketball, go kids, yeah. But we had to deal with kids who were between the ages of 10 and 15, the obnoxious teenager years. Kids who think they were so much funnier and cooler than the people who were walking around at FanFest. I remember walking by a group of kids who were just looking at everybody being like, oh my god, these guys are a bunch of losers. Calling them furries, which is really kind of wrong. Furries are just people, let them be. They're not hurting anybody for the most part. It's just, they don't know any better. It just really sucked hearing a bunch of people who put a lot of work into their cosplays getting insulted. I really hope nobody else heard the things I've heard because, man, if you did and you put so much work into your work, I'm sorry. It just sucked. The lines at FanFest were long. The lines to the live letter, the keynote, merch, the battle station trial thing they had, bathroom. It was all long and it was really exhausting. I remember having to for both days, having to wake up before 7 a.m., eat breakfast and everything, get ready for the day, head to the con before 7 a.m., and then line up, and then wait for 2 more hours until 9 o'clock so we can finally get into the venue to well, not the venue, but the main stage to watch and get a seat. And it was all just super exhausting. I highly recommend you just bring portable chargers with you, bring your Switch so you can play on it, and just just be able to like bear the weight of waiting for so long. Also, if you didn't line up for things on time, you wouldn't have a seat for things, so a lot of us had to sit on the floor for the piano concert and stand for the rock concert, which is fair. You probably would stand anyways for the rock concert, but you wouldn't be anywhere closer to the stage if you did not get seats closer to the stage. I kind of wish we had more chairs for things. Maybe it's like a safety hazard, so like they probably wouldn't have a lot of chairs just around in case people might, trip over and in case of emergency. I get that. The only thing I know is like I was starting to feel something in my legs after being in the crisscross applesauce position for too long, and oh my god, my legs weren't the same after everything. So for some of the events on day 1, they had a lot more events than they did on day 2. On day 1, they had the cosplay walk. They had so many panels for things to watch on stage. They also had the concerts on both days. But on day 2, there was a lot more gaps. I think the live letter ending and then like the next event was like between like 11:30 and like 1. So there's like a huge gap there. I get it. People can go get food and everything. But my sister just wanted to see a lot more main stage things. She wanted to just be there and just watch things on the main stage. She didn't really care to walk around. She didn't really want to meet anybody besides if like she saw Yoshi P in the team, she would. But she didn't really care to watch, YouTubers or like Twitch streamers because she doesn't consume their content. But overall, I say the events were still really cool to watch that I got to see. I saw the cosplay walk, so many talented people making cosplays. Also, this crazy, like, grape cosplay. I don't know how this came out. Whoever made this, they're a genius. What the heck? It's so crazy, well made. Amazing. Now, merch was an absolute mess. If you did not get in line early enough, so during day 1, you actually had to leave the keynote and miss a few things, you were getting no shot at all at getting merch. It was a huge line. They had to implement some kind of ticket system where it's basically you're given a ticket and you have to come back later at the time the ticket says so you can buy merch. And they eventually ran out of tickets as well, so I think people were just being shooed away later like, yeah, sorry, there's no chance you'll get merch today. On day 2, I don't really know what went down other than the fact that they were running out of things slowly, so I would say for people, pretty much the play would be maybe send somebody to stand in line. I had my friend Crystal stand in line for a long time, and she was able to buy some things for my sister. I didn't buy anything personally because they had everything on the online store ahead of time, and I told myself, if I didn't order anything ahead of time, why would I want to buy it in person, So I decided, screw it, it's okay, I'm not gonna get anything. So, looking back at it later, 3 weeks later, I don't really care to want anything anyways, so save my money there, that's great. So I would say the biggest thing for merch is like pretty much get there during day 1, buy the merch that you need, otherwise you'll probably start missing out on things on day 2. Oh man, so I have here the golden ticket. Let's talk about the golden ticket. So the golden ticket was implemented this year, and I think it was never done before. It's essentially a system that was allowing you to go have a photo session and a meet and greet with 2 of the people who were on your ticket that were printed on your ticket. So it can range from anybody on the team. It can go from like Ishikawa, the writer, Kate, the translator, to like Keiko, the piano player, Amanda, Matt, the senior director of the community, to Soken, Yoshi P, Koji, like anybody. But your ticket will only have 2 names on it, so whoever you have on your ticket, those are the only 2 people you can meet. You have to go to the room number, the time that it says that you're able to go to, and that's it. Now, you may be asking yourself, how does one get one of these tickets, Ko? Well, I'm glad you asked. 2 very simple ways. The first one being the bag that you got from registration. There's a chance that, besides all the little cute goodies you get, like the grape and like the carrot pen, there's a chance that inside your bag you would get a golden ticket, and you can't mistake it. Like, you legit would see the ticket and it would tell you, yeah, you're gonna meet some of the staff members. And like I said, there's a chance there'll be a ticket inside, so not everybody had a golden ticket. I unfortunately did not. And what names you get on the ticket are completely random. You have no choice but to see whoever you get and, just deal with whoever you got, which isn't a bad thing because everybody in the team is lovely, and I would have loved to get the chance to meet anybody from the team. And the other way of getting the ticket is simple. You pay somebody who didn't want to go see anybody anyways. I actually was offered like $100 to go see Kate and Ishikawa, and I almost took it, but for some odd reason, I think in me, I felt like I had a really weird excuse. I was like, hey, you know what? I would love this, but fate kind of led me to not see them anyways because I didn't get a ticket, so I can't do it. It wasn't meant to be kind of thing, which was stupid because I should have just done it anyways. It was $100, why not? But I was probably being stingy and just trying to cope. I didn't end up buying the ticket to go see Ishikawa or Kate, but Crystal ended up doing that herself. She went to go see them. She almost brought me along, but me and my sister were like, nah, it's okay. She brought her brother to go with her, and they went to go see them. Lucky for them, great for them. I'm totally not jealous at all. Should have just paid the $100. Overall, I kind of understand why they did the system, is because they didn't want to have an open meet and greet for Yoshi P and the team, and they'd just be stuck there for hours, and eventually they have to turn away people because they have to go do things. So I think to avoid all that mess, they decided, you know what, we're just going to have a lottery. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. I don't hate the system, you know, I think it's, you know, it is what it is, it's fair, it's for the best of the interest of the team, and it is what it is. Now, speaking of gold, weird segue, I know, they had the trial, an unreleased trial called the Gilded Aria, where we had to fight against Asura, I believe, Ashura, who was this new boss, unreleased, that's never been fought before, and we got the chance to try it out at FanFest. Now, to sign up to fight against her, you had to go through a very lengthy and sort of annoying process to go on the app and then set up a appointment to go fight her with a group of people. Yeah, that was a whole mess. I didn't even bother during day 1, and I thought I wasn't gonna get a chance to, but on day 2, it was open. The trial itself was like really fun overall. I didn't die once. I got 2 like Vuln stacks. I was doing really well. But I would say the only negative side about, like, doing the trial was the setup. We had a limited time to set up our keys and hotbars, our HUD and everything that we're used to, and it would have been perfect, because I actually took a picture ahead of time and I was able to set up in a timely manner, but the keyboard and the mouse that we had weren't things I was used to. If you're a controller player, you actually would fare better because they actually had controllers there, but for the rest of us who had, like, keyboards and mouse to use, we had to sit there and, like, deal with the fact that the equipment that we had wasn't what we're used to using. So people who are used to having an MMO mouse with all the buttons on the side, tough luck, you didn't have that. As far as I know, for me, they had a Logitech mouse, which is something I was used to, with only 2 buttons on the side, which is great because I'm used to that kind of setup. I can set up 2 buttons on the side, and that is exactly how I play at home. But I asked the guy at the staff thing that was walking around, I asked him, like, hey man, is there any way to bind buttons to the mouse because, you know, they're there for a reason? And he told me, yeah, man, we don't have any kind of Logitech program on the computers to set that up, so no. And I was like, okay, cool, because I went in wanting to play Black Mage and, you know, maybe impress the group that I was with, like, yeah, I'm a pretty good Black Mage. But I had to end up clicking a lot of my skills, and I'm not used to clicking at all, so I was just screwed in general. But hey, my group and I, we one-shotted the trial, and we got through with it, so that was great. I saw other groups struggling, I saw groups, people were dying, people were wiping, so maybe probably work on your trial skills a little bit more, and your, like, you know, your first time deduction skills for trials. That way you're able to kind of know what's going on, and you don't wipe too hard with other groups. Oh yeah, one last thing I want to mention about the trial is that usually they have a cool t-shirt saying, like, you know, you beat this trial that was there at the FanFest event, right? They didn't have that, so instead, what they gave us was an online badge. That's cool, I guess. For the concerts, they were all amazing. All 3 concerts were great. You know, the first 2 being the piano and the primal concerts, which were, like, with the FanFest tickets, and the orchestral concert, which was separate, they had to pay extra for. Which actually isn't a bad thing in itself, because if you didn't get FanFest tickets, you can still buy orchestral tickets, so you can actually go see that show. You know, the downside is that you wouldn't be able to go to FanFest, and you have to kill your time around Vegas not going to FanFest, so like I said, good and bad. Regardless, all the concerts were, like, phenomenal. They were all amazing. Like, the piano concert, beautiful. The rock concert, rocked. And the orchestral concert was just magnificent. I'm trying to think of all big words they use here. Okay, so this next one, I want you to really listen on in, because this is something that can apply to anybody. So if you weren't listening now, I would say listen up right now and start taking notes. When you have a big event where a lot of people go to and they travel long distance to get there, and they don't mask up, and they're in, like, close proximity with one another, they're bound to get sick. From what I heard from regular con goers is that con flu is, like, a really common thing to get after you go to a con. But within the recent years, something small happened that, you know, you may be familiar with it. It's called, COVID. Yeah, you can still get COVID in this day and age. And if you're not careful and you get this, and from what I heard, it's not fun to have, you'll suffer a lot. I actually know a lot of people who ended up getting COVID after that I know, and to those people, I hope you're fully recovered now, or if you're not, like, I hope you're feeling better. Thankfully for me, I actually didn't end up getting COVID. Yes, for some ungodly reason, I didn't get sick with COVID. I did get a cold, a flu, so that happened. I got, like, really congested and nasally. That's why I didn't end up making videos for a bit, because I didn't want to sound nasally in my videos. But to go through COVID, I heard a lot of people were just having straight pain with that, so I would say, please do what you can to keep yourself safe if you're ever going to an event. Do what you can to keep yourself healthy, so if you're feeling a little bit sick, start taking your meds, rest up, Start wearing a mask so you know, don't spread it around people around you. And if you're feeling really bad, go check out with a doctor. And I highly recommend you don't do this next thing. And that's make a 10-page comic about how you had sickness before the con, still went anyways, and then thought it'd be very funny and cute to like share it on the internet with everybody. Yeah, that's not the play. Look, I get it. You may not be patient zero, but everybody and their mothers are gonna blame somebody, and they chose that person to blame, and that wasn't really the best play to do. A funny thing that I saw other people said that was like, you know, it's irresponsible, but like I get this vibe. It's like if they went to a con knowingly they were sick, you could not waterboard them to get them to admit that they were the sick person. So despite everything I talked about today, despite all the complaints that I had, for me, I would say FanFest was a blast. I actually had a lot of fun. All that's left was just to go home and, oh, wait a second. Yeah, about that. So during this time, there was some California fires going on, and a lot of people had their flights canceled or delayed. So if you knew somebody, or you went through this yourself, getting out of Vegas during that week, or the next week after technically, was not fun. My situation was that I had a flight with my sister at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. We were gonna get up around 2, you know, get to the airport safely, make sure we're all good, and just head home and be there later on the day, right? Wrong. So our flight was straight up, like, moved, canceled, whatever you want to call it. We had to find a new plan, and our new plan was basically, to go on a flight at like 9 o'clock at night. Luckily, the hotel was able to extend our checkout to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but unfortunately, we still had to kill like 8 hours until our flight. And also, I didn't know this, but apparently you can only check in your bags 4 hours prior to your flight. So we had to wait around the airport. You know, we couldn't get through security yet for 4 hours, and then after that, wait like 4 more hours for our flight itself. Okay, but like once I got home, once I was situated and, you know, I got over my sickness and thought about it, despite the gripes that I had, FanFest as a whole was worth it. For me, at least, you know, I can't really speak on everyone else's behalf. I know people probably got sick and said it wasn't worth it, but for me, I enjoyed it. My sister had a lot of fun as well. We both would say to each other like, man, we were in FanFest last week, or like at this point we'd be like, man, we were at FanFest 3 weeks ago. We miss it so much. Being at this con was probably one of the biggest highlights of my like Final Fantasy XIV content creation journey. I've never had to autograph so many things.
Where's Josh? Can I get an autograph?
Take so many pictures with people and meet so many amazing people in my lifetime. And I learned so quickly that after taking so many pictures with people, I cannot smile at all. So if I look really kind of weird in your pictures, I'm sorry. The concerts were absolute bangers. The gift bag that we got, the little swag bag, was actually really cool. I might end up using this later on. It's just all great memories I can have from this whole entire con. Also, being able to see so many of my online friends actually like be real people, like they weren't created by the simulation or something, it was just so like worth going. I saw so many of my friends. Unfortunately, not everybody could have gone, but a lot of my friends that I saw, I just had such a great time talking to them. Even if it was brief, I was really so thankful to meet everybody that I've met during my whole entire journey, and I just wish we could hang out more. And not only that, I never really had a chance to meet Yoshi P or any of the staff members, but just being around them, seeing them be so wholesome, so cool, was just astounding. Like, I don't know what to say other than the fact that, like, it was like being in the same room with them is, like, just so cool. Also, quick shout out to my German friend out there who got me into their article for PC Games. You know, I'm right here. Isn't that really cool? I felt like Mr. Worldwide for a second. I'm famous over there in EU too. Like, you know, it felt cool. One final thing I want to say before I like wrap this whole video up is that like the biggest highlight wasn't just going to FanFest, wasn't to go see Yoshi P and all these people in person, to experience the concerts or anything. The biggest highlight for me was seeing the viewers. Like, I know it sounds cheesy, but like, I've never had a moment in my life where I met so many people who are like, I love your content. I watch you like when I'm able to. Like, it's just, it was amazing. To anyone who ever walked up to me to take a picture, just to say hi, to get me to sign something for them, and by the way, I'll have to admit, I've never signed anything in my life, so to anybody who has a signature for me, you will see, if you compare it to other people, there's like 10 different variants that I did, because I had no idea how to sign things. You guys, my viewers, are honestly the biggest highlights for me, because meeting you guys has just been amazing. You guys made the whole trip worth going, and I just think that going forward, I will continue to make great content for you guys. I will keep striving to make myself as entertaining as possible. That way, you guys don't get bored of me, and hopefully we keep going up and I can meet more of you guys in the future. Unfortunately, I will not be going to EU FanFest because I don't have any tickets for that. Neither do I have one for JP, but hey, maybe one day I'll be able to go to those, but for now, I would say to anybody going to those events, please have a great time. I had a fun time despite all the things I talked about in this video today. Despite all the things that I said, it was still enjoyable. Go have fun at these events, and please, for the love of God, don't make that 10-page comic.